Hello everyone, just about to start, so if you make yourselves comfy, we'll get on with this. Now what I've done is I have muted everybody's microphone. That's just so that we don't get any feedback problems with the speakers. But what I'll do is I'll turn the microphones back on at the end. I don't expect us to be anything more than about half an hour tonight because we've only got two subjects to go through, and those two subjects are going to be development planning, which we'll have a look at first, and then we'll end with the information that I've got for you on taster sessions. So what we'll do first to begin, we've got a guest speaker coming to join us for the Grey Group project at the closing ceremony in January. And that one of those guest speakers is a man called Graham Hamilton. Now, if you don't know who Graham is the Deputy UK Commissioner for Programme, but he's also one of the major leading forces in planners and organisers in all of the Cubs 100 type celebrations for next year. And what he's going to be doing, he's going to be coming to the Grey Group Close to do a bit of a presentation on that and to welcome us all to it and to help him launch the project. So one of the plans was for the webinars was he was going to record us a nice couple of minutes, a little video to sort of introduce himself and say what it's all about. And we were going to show that at the beginning of every webinar. Now, unfortunately for me, I didn't know that Graham doesn't understand how technology works. He may have a computer and he might have a smartphone, but he doesn't know how the two link up. So unfortunately, we don't have a video from him. But what I did promise him was I would show everybody at the start of the webinars the Cubs 100 little Lego movie that's been made. So we'll begin with that now. I'll show you that video and then we'll get on with the night. It would help if I get the right screenshot first, wouldn't it? Because I'm clever. Here it is. Now then, if you'd just like to watch this, it's only 2.5 minutes long, and then we'll crack on. All right?
I would like to have a massive party, and everyone who used to be a cub can come. I want a massive cake. What the cake look like? It should have all the pictures of all the adventure cubs, all the cubs that have been on. Then we should probably put arcade on it. Loads of food for people that have come later. What do you reckon Cubs was like 100 years ago? But it was really old fashioned. They didn't have electric hover cars. I bet it'll be really futuristic. I see Cubs. There will be Cubs on the moon. And like find out more about if you would like person might be not able to. What's the best thing about Cubs is probably that we get to play lots of games. We get to meet. Happy birthday!
Right, there you go. That's the Cubs 100 little video there. So, right, moving on to tonight, we're going to open up with the briefing or the little bits of information I got for you on development planning. Now, believe it or not, we have these development plans and development planning toolkits for every section, for every group, for every district, for every county, for every region, and for the United Kingdom, well, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. And the reason why we have them is we put this package together where it's a small bits of paperwork where we can ask a whole bunch of questions, and the questions are different for the regions. They're different again for the counties, different again for the districts, for the groups and for the sections. Now the reason why we have them is so we can take a snapshot look at ourselves, work out where the problems are, and then work out a way of how to fix it. So the whole idea behind it is so that we can all get together and then talk to each other about what the problems that we have are, and then we all get a buy-in to how we fix it, so everybody gets a voice and everybody's opinion get heard. So the way it works is like this, is that let's say, for example, we've got Wayne Bulpit, who's the very, very top of the tree for the volunteers, and he wants to take the English Scouts in one direction. How does he know where to go? He asks you, So you'll send this form out, this paperwork out to the regional commissioners, and he'll ask the regional commissioners what they think on any given subject. And they'll tell him, they'll write it down and they'll tell him, and then through that he forms his development plan. But how do the regional commissioners know what direction to take their regions? Well, they'll ask the county commissioners a bunch of questions and they'll give him an answer, and he passes that on to Wayne Bulpit. But then how do the counties know where the region, how do the counties know where their districts want to go? Well, they'll ask the district commissioners, won't they? The same questions. Same thing goes on from the DCs down to the groups and the groups down to the sections, so that then we can work out that roughly we're all pulling in roughly the right direction. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you one of these bits of paperwork which is available to you all, and then I'll show you how to go through it, because there's a couple of things that we can that we should be aware of. Now, what's on here is I've just taken the CUBPAC Development Planning Toolkit as an example. But there's one, like I said, for every section and every region and county and district and all this sort of stuff. There is one for everything, including network. There's one for network and young leaders and explorers. There's one for everything. So the way it works is this. If I was just to give it out to you, and then you would just try and give it out to your sections, on paper, it might look initially like it's a league chart, as in who's better than somebody else. And it isn't like that at all. The reason why you might get that is because we ask one question but give 3 answers. I know it sounds a bit weird. We have one question and 3 answers, and none of the answers are wrong. I'll explain to you. Now, with the question, it might be a question like, have you got enough adults? And if the answer is green, it'll say, yes, I've got loads of adults. I've got millions of them. I've got so many adults, I can't move for adults. I've got billions of them. So that's the answer's green. If the answer's yellow, it might say, yeah, I've got some adults, but a lot of them have got more than one job. That's yellow. If it's red, it'll say something like, what adults? Now, if you were to fill that in, and then you saw what's happening in a different group, and they've got a better answer than you, you might think that the district commissioner will look at that and go, oh, these ones are all the red answers here, they're in trouble, they are. But it doesn't work that way. What we need is for people to put the truth on there, not to be afraid of it. Because if we don't know what the reds are, we don't know how to fix the problem. We need to know where the problems are before we can move in and spend resources or spend time or spend any effort trying to fix it. And if we all put the wrong answers on, we don't know where the problems are. Now, bearing in mind that this comes from a CUBPAC, which then feeds into a group red, amber, green, a district development planning toolkit, which feeds up to the district, which then feeds up to county, which then feeds up to region, which then goes into headquarters. If everybody's lying on that, then we won't know where the problems are. This is one of the reasons why it's taken so long to fix network. We didn't know where the problems were because everybody was fudging the facts. But if we all put the truth in, we get much better result much quicker. So this is the development planning toolkit, and it comes in 2 halves. There's 3. It comes in 3. It's not 3 halves. No. I'm not that daft. It comes in 3 parts. The first part is what's called a SWOT analysis, and that simply stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And there's a reason for that. So what we have is these 4 boxes here. These are the 4 boxes that you'll need to fill in. So what you'll have is, if it's a Cub Scout rag, so as this one is, what we'll do is you'll get your section leaders. That's all, just your section leaders, just the Cub Scout section leaders. That's all you want, even including the occasional helpers. You'll all get together, and you'll first of all you look at this first box and you say to them, strengths. What strengths do we have? What we really mean is, what do we do well? So between the lot of you, you all shout answers out about what you do well. Then look at the weaknesses, and it'll be simply talking about what things we don't do quite so well. And again, you'll answer truthfully, you write them all down. Then you go on to opportunities. What things are going to be coming up in the future that be good for us as Cub Scouts? You write that all in there. And then threats. What things are happening all around us that stop us from doing the things that we want to do? Stop us from being as good as we want to be. And put them all down on there. Because there could be something we can do about that a bit later on. So once you've got that filled in, and there is a method to my madness, there is a point. We'll come back to this near the very, very end. All right. Once you've filled that in, you then go on to these magic questions. There's a whole bunch of them here. There's about 30 questions which you need to go through with all of your leaders. All right. So it says here, first question, question number 1. Over here, look. It says pack size. What's your pack size? Have you got less than 12 cubs? That's red, because we'd like you to have more. Have you got 12 to 17? Well, that's amber, because it's not as bad as having less than 12, but it ain't as good as having 18 or more. So if you've got 18 or more, that's green, that's good, right? Now, before you start getting angry and all anti, we understand that some buildings can only hold a handful of cubs. We understand that there are reasons why you may have more or may have less than cubs, but you still must answer it as it is on there. It must be as it is on there. So let's say, for example, you've only got a building that can hold 10 cubs. Well, automatically, you're going to be a red. You go all anti and angry, because that's not fair. But if you put it on as red, there may be some help from district. They may be able to find you a bigger building. I know it's not utopia, and we can't just pull buildings out of our back pocket. However, if everybody in the district was having some problems, or a few of you are having some problems, there may be some funding available to get you bigger buildings. All right. I know it's a bit of a hypothetical thing, and things don't happen easily, but these are the reasons why we need to answer truthfully. All right. So then it goes on to female membership, and it goes on to things about growth against last census in a percentage. We don't expect you to have these physical figures on you at all times, but you as section leaders will pretty much know if you've got more than what you did last year, because you can look, can't you? You can see with your eyes. So just give it a rough guess. All right. So that's how it goes. It goes through all these bunch of questions. It goes through all these things that are on here about program, Chief Scouts Awards, Challenge Awards, forums, nights away, training, all sorts of bits of stuff's in there. All the things that make a Scout section what it is, about how to make it work decently, is all in there. Important things. There's a bunch of blank boxes. So if you've got something that's specific to your section, your district, your area, you can write your own questions in there and your own answers. All right, so it's a flexible document. You can put something in there. Now then, once you've got your answers and you filled all that in, you need to do a planning matrix. Now, what happens with that? You're not worried about the greens. They don't need fixing, but the reds need fixing. And you're going to give them all a number, and you're going to work out which ones are the most important, which ones you're going to fix first, and which ones you're going to fix a little bit later on. So the ones that you want to fix early, you put in this box. The ones that are going to wait until you fix these can go in that box. And then you've got 12 months to fix these things. So as you fix item number 3, you can take it off the list and slide in one of these to replace it with. Now I know it sounds a bit confusing, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you one that's already filled out. Now this one's for a district up in the West Midlands, so they won't mind that I show you their list. It's last year's, so they won't care. Besides that, you won't tell anybody anyway. So here we go. This one's for a district. This one's not a cub pack. This one's a district. So all of the section leaders were invited to this rag so they could all give their answers. All right. So it might look slightly different. The questions are going to be slightly different because it's more event. On here, they did their SWOT analysis just like you'd do yours, and this is all the things that they identified on their SWOTs. So the strengths, they had big camps, they had problems with communication members, and so on. So all these things were added on. So they had some opportunities as well. They got a university, for example. So trying to in was a drama because people were seeing it as a middle class activity, and so forth and so on. But it was all written on there. Then they went on to answer their questions. And I've got to flip the screen around here because I had to write this out sideways so we can read it. Now then, it's going to look a bit like this now. There we go. There's all the answers. So, like I said, this is a district rag, which is why it looks, the questions look slightly different to what yours are. So on the adult side of life, they answered all their questions from adults, adult training, young people, sort of stuff. They all had answers there. It was all filled in, and then they went on to have a look at that. And here's their planning matrix. I've got to flip it back again so we can read it. Otherwise I'll feel a bit stupid. There you go. Now then, this is what they identified from all their reds. Some of them were yellows because I didn't have enough reds to fill in, so we earned some of the yellows. I like to have 10 items on here. So item number 1 that they wanted to fix was growth in young people. Now let's say, for example, over the next 12 months that they managed to fix number 1. Well, I want constantly 5 items on this list. So we'd slide number 1 out and let's say we'd put in the next on the list was number 6, we'd slide number 6 in, and so forth and so on. So as soon as one gets fixed, it gets removed from this side and then replaced with one from that side. It's as simple as that. Now, this looks a bit unwieldy and it is a bit tough to use if everybody has one. So what we do is, once we've filled this out, we fill out the development plan itself. And that is the thing that goes around to everybody. So the development plan itself looks like this. I'll turn the view around again. This all comes on the document. It's all there for you to fill out. Looks like that. So this is the development plan. You put a date on the top and where it is and where you're from, because you've got 12 months to complete all this. So remember, we want item number 1, which was growth in young people. That's there. Action. So what we're going to do about it. Who's responsible? Who's going to fix this? When you're going to review it, it's normally about halfway through when you're going to have a look at it, see if it needs any extra help or whether everything's already sorted out. When do you want it done by, and what you expect to come out of all that at the very end, which is all there. So the first 5 items are going to be on that, and they're written on here. And that's what goes out to everybody, so everybody knows what's happening. And everybody knows that because of the things they said on the meeting that answered all the questions, that this is the sort of thing they're going to do on the development plan for 12 months. So if you can imagine that every section got a development plan, every group had got one, every district have got one, every county's got one, every region's got one, we'd all be roughly pulling in the same direction, wouldn't we? We'd all be doing the things that we all feel is somewhat important, or at least we'd feel valued because somebody's bothered to ask us, and then we feel more valued because we can see that because of what we've said, something's happened because of that. Now, obviously, the chink in the armour here is, it's one of these things that's going to be a majority rule, isn't it? You know, we have to come to some sort of agreement. We might not necessarily always get our way, but at least somebody somewhere is going to pay attention to what we say, because what we say has value. All right, and this is the whole point behind development plans, and that's why we do them. Now, I did mention I'd come back to the SWOT analysis. Now, this particular SWOT analysis, there was nothing on there that was going to directly affect this plan. But, for example, there may have been on the SWOT analysis. Let's go back to the top so we can have a look. One of the strengths on here, let me just flick the screen again so we can see it. It's going to be that way, I think. Yeah, it is. Right. One of the strengths may have been that we've got a really, really good GSL, if we do talk about a group rag, that is. One of the weaknesses may be that GSL is not going to be around from September to October because he's getting married and he's going on a massive tour of India, right? So he might not be around. That could be a weakness, right? Because you haven't got a GSL around. So when it comes to writing your development plan, because you've done a SWOT analysis, because none of that's going to appear on your red, amber, greens, but because you've got your SWOT, when it comes to writing your development plan, which is this bit down here, on here it might say, on the growth of adults bit, we're going to decide to grow our adults by having a huge event to recruit adults. But we can't have it in September because GSL is going to be away. We need GSL around. So had you not have put that on the SWOT analysis, you wouldn't know. And if you didn't know, you might end up planning something which is automatically going to fail because you didn't have the information at hand. All right. So it's important to do the SWOT analysis because the two things go together. One thing directly affects the other, or it could. So it's always important to do both. And that is pretty much all there is to say about development planning. Now, if your sections, your groups, or your districts as a whole want these red, amber, greens, the forms themselves, I can get them sent out to you. But you've got to go via the DC. Put the request in through the DC. DC will talk to me, and then I'll get them out to you, or I'll get them out to the DC, and the DC will hand them out to you. All right. There has been a district development red, amber, green already completed for you, which you've all been a part of. Invites did go out, right, to the groups. So there is a development plan. It has been written, and you can take a look at it. You just simply need to ask your DCs, okay? And if you want to hold it your own at your group level, again, ask your DCs. We'll get the paperwork out to you. All right. Now, that's that bit done. So what I'm going to go on to now is to talk about taster sessions. Now, taster sessions are used as a recruiting tool. and they can be tailored to make them fit to whichever particular style that you prefer. Now, there's two main types of taster sessions. The first one is where you run like an example night of all the things that Scouts, Cubs, whatever it is that you want to do. You run that night like it's a normal night, and you invite new people to it. And so if there's a completely new section, there's no Scouts in place, it's a new section, you invite in all your potential new Scouts, all your potential new adults, and you run it like it's a standard Scout night. So you'll have a flag break, you'll put them into patrols, or sixes, or lodges, you put them all together, including the adults, you put them all in with the sixes, everybody's lumped in together, you'll have a flag break, you'll do some games, you'll do some badge work, and then you'll end the night with, obviously, the closing ceremony, the flag going down, and then you'll send them home. And hopefully because they've had a taste of scouting, they've had some understanding of it, and hopefully they'll come back the following week, and then you start signing people up, you see. That's the first way. But that's not the main way. The main way is what I'm going to go with you through with you in the next 10-15 minutes. The taster sessions that we run to great success tends to be a 2-hour event on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday morning. And what we tend to do is we put a whole bunch of bases together, say 8 or 9, maybe 10 bases, where they can try little bits of scouting. So you might have biscuit decorating, you might have how to tie knots using licorice string. If they get it right, they can eat it, that sort of thing. And the idea is that no kid is allowed in without a parent. They've got to bring somebody with them. And the reason why we do that is because we want adult volunteers. We need them. So the activities are designed to be done in pairs, or at least in teams. So there's no parents stood around doing nothing. They've got to do something with their kids. And it's simple little things, like I said, about the tying knots with licorice string. You know, reef knots, we can all do that, right? And if they get it right, they can eat it. Or you do Lego racing, where at the one end of the room there's a small pile of 5 or 6 bricks, and you just put a random pattern together with the bricks, and you've hidden it behind a piece of card, so the other end of the room can't see it. So either the child or the parent runs out, takes a look at what's behind the card, runs back and tries to explain how to what this model looks like, while the other person builds it. And they've got to run backwards and forwards, they've got to work together as a team. So what you need to do is you need to get a passport together. And what that looks like is, let's have a look, the Ross passport. This is for an event we held in Ross-on-Wye, which is miles away from here. And it looked like this. So essentially, you've got this document. It's an A4 sheet of paper where you put on some details where the parents can tick the boxes if they're interested, with their contact details on. Now, it's important here with the contact details that you fill that bit out. Don't let the parents do it, because if you do, you won't be able to read their handwriting, right? So you do that. On this side of life, you let the kids put their name, their age, their date of birth, that sort of thing. That's their beginning of the passport. Ask them if they know anybody that's interested. Put a few pictures on, bit of scout lore, and then you start to look at the items that are on the back of the list. Now, whenever they complete part of the day, like registration or first aid, paper hovercrafts, all that sort of stuff, as soon as they've completed something, we can put a sticker in their box. Now, the idea of this day, this was just a random taster event day that we held, but you can tailor these so that everything they do works them towards a badge. So if they've completed everything, they can have a badge, all right, or a sticker, whichever it is you like. And what we do is, it's, like I said, it's a 2-hour event. So I designed all of this, and I had it make it to be, there's slightly more activities on there than they've got time to go round. So they leave the place wanting more, all right. So all of these things are done in pairs, or more or less, and they all have a good time. And because it's stuff that we do roughly in scouting in a week-to-week basis, they don't get a false impression of what scouting is. On a tasting event, we could be very tempted to have a climbing wall put up or something like that, something dynamic, just to draw people in. Well, the people that are attracted by that they tend to come back to Scouts or sign up for it thinking that that's what we do every week, and they soon get disappointed and they get a bit disgruntled and they sometimes leave. Whereas if we attract them by doing the stuff we do anyway, week by week, that's even better. And even more importantly than that, because the parents are joining in with this stuff, they get to realise that actually it's not as bad or as difficult or as tough as they first imagined that it was going to be. So when we come to give them a bit of a chat towards the end of the taster session, we normally get somebody to entertain the kids while we talk to the parents in the last 10 minutes. So during the last 10 minutes, we just say to the parents, have you enjoyed it? Yeah, pretty much. Well, guess what? This is what we do every week. And they're always surprised. They always think, well, really? Yes, really, this is what we do. And we just need you to come in and help us do these things. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Oh, I didn't know it was that bad. Sorry, I didn't know it was that easy. Well, yeah, of course it's that easy. We're just a bunch of mates having fun. So why don't you come and join us? And then you get people signing up. You can have a parent roster and stuff like this. Now, what you do with this bit of paperwork, you've now got a fistful of A4 sheets of paper with some contact details on. So what you need to do, within 10 days, you need to get in touch with all of these people that have filled that bit in. Anything longer than 10 days, you tend to lose them. So let's say, for example, there's 20 sheets of paper with 20 interested people on it. You've rung them all up and half of them are still definitely interested. Then you need to hold a second taster event. But this one is going to be just for adults. And you won't have stuff like this. They won't get the adults to fill out passports and daft little things like that. It can be pretty much around somebody's house, depending on how many people there are. And you just invite them in. You'll have various different role descriptions for them to look at of what's available in Scouting. Now, I know that some of your groups, sections, districts have got specific vacancies that you really are desperate to fill. What I urge you to do is not try and push an adult into something that they don't want to do. If you've got 7 or 8 Cub Scout leaders in one section and this particular person wants to be another section assistant in that same section, let them, because they'll stay. And then that may free up somebody that's already there to go off and do something else that they've always wanted to do and never had a chance. So let them volunteer for the bits they want to volunteer and worry about the holes in the section later on. So yeah, bring them round, talk to them about all the things that are available to them, talk to them about the training and the support that's available to them, and then just crack on with it. Have the AA forms there for them to fill out. Always keep in touch with the appointments review people, the appointments committee, all that sort of stuff. Always try and contact the district commissioner to let them know you're going to do something like this and to warn the appointments committee off that they may get a small influx in a handful of new leaders because they may be a bit busy, you just don't know. This is why you do things like previously the SWOT analysis, because the appointments people might be busy and you don't want your potential new leaders hanging about waiting to get their approvals done or their DBS checks done. There's a delay because someone's gone on holiday. All right, so that's pretty much what it looks like. This is what your taster events look like. Now, I'll warn you off. This, as you can imagine, is heavy on your leaders. You need a lot of people there that day. So if it's a section event that you're planning, you may need group support because you're going to need about 20 support people there to run something of this size. Of course, you could do it smaller, but you're still going to need group help for a section size event. So for you guys as volunteers, you're looking at a 4-hour day because you want to be there an hour before, you're going to run the event for 2 hours, and you're going to be there for an hour afterwards tidying up. So it's 4 hours for you. It's 2 hours for your participants, and they're going to roll in and roll out as they see fit. All right. And that's pretty much about it. You just run it, have some fun with it, just play with it, make it your own. You don't have to do these individual activities. You can do loads of others. There's loads of activities there for you written down already on the Scout website, scouts.org.uk. It's all there for you and it's all for free, so you may as well use it. That is it for now. That's all I've got for you on that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch your microphones back on, and then I'm going to open up to any questions that you might have. So let's have a look. Let's see if I can unmute you all. There you go. Your speakers are now back on. So has anybody got any questions for me? Anybody? Nobody got any questions? Hello?
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 Hello. Do you have anywhere we can get a template of your passport you use?
What I can do with that one, I can email it to the planning team for the Grow Your Group. So that'd be your district commissioners, district chair, that sort of thing.
That'd be lovely, yeah.
And then I'll do that on probably Monday, because it's a bit late for this.
Yeah.
So be in touch with them and they'll have it for you. And then it's
Lovely.
that one there's a Word document, so you can mess about with that. You can take things into it, take it out of it. All I did was I went into Google Images and typed in different activities, and I got a picture for that activity. So I was able then to copy and paste that into the passport. All right.
Lovely. We can just change that, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. You're going to need to change things like the names, because obviously that one says Ross on Y, and you just put your own on there. All right, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
With the flyers, you can put flyers out for this sort of thing. If I just show you what the flyer looks like. In fact, I can't because I shut it down. The flyers, I made the flyer using Print Centre, and I don't know whether you got involved with the Print Centre briefing that I gave over the last 3 or 4 weeks. But I was basically telling you how to use Print Centre. You can just go onto Print Centre, make your flyer there for free, download the PDF, and you can print it out yourself at home. So you can advertise your own event then. Most schools are receptive to us. So if you speak to the school secretaries, they are more than likely happy to take a batch of your flyers and hand it out to all the school kids, so you can get the schools involved. All right. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can attract a lot of kids with this, because kids come with parents, and you can then obviously recruit the parents. Now, there is an argument here. It's a chicken and egg argument. You'll get, well, we can't really recruit the kids because we haven't got enough parents yet. We haven't got enough leaders. Or somebody else might say, well, we can't really go for recruiting leaders because we haven't got enough kids yet. All I will say to you is they are both equal in importance on the argument. So what I would do is I would pick one and go for it, because if you fix one, it'll automatically fix the other. In other words, if you've recruited loads of kids, they come with mums and dads, you can then try and aim for the parents, right? If you've recruited a lot of adults, then you've got scope to get more kids in, haven't you? Because you just increase your ratios. So one will automatically fix the other one. Okay. Anybody got any other questions? No? We all done?
Yeah.
Right, awesome. What I'll do, I'll let you crack on with your evenings, because it's Children in Need night and I believe it's just started. So thank you for joining me online, and thank you for giving me your time, because I know you're all very, very busy. And I'll see you soon. All right?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
It is quite good. I mean, did he open it? Just so